Good morning, everyone. You are watching Barnstable This Morning. Joining me now is author Christina Laurie and photographer Steve Heaslip. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys are here to talk about this really awesome book, C is for Cape Cod. You worked on this together. Let's talk a little bit about first where the idea came from.
I had started writing about 2005 board book for children. It's of 4-line poems, and in the process, my sister and I my sister's an author in Utah, and we were talking about what we were doing recently, and she was writing a book on A's for arches about Utah. And so I was telling her about my board book, and she sent me some emails of what she was writing, and I thought, geez, my poems are exactly like her board book. And so Sleeping Bear Press had commissioned her to do this book, and so I wrote Sleeping Bear Press, and she said, oh, well, they're done with the state books. And I wrote them, and I said, well, there's one state that you missed, Cape Cod. But they didn't bite it.
They weren't having any of it.
No, they turned it down. So I continued writing the poems and the text for each of the letters, and then started sending it out to publishers, and nobody bit on it. So it went into a drawer where my reject writing goes, and it stood around for a while. And the fall of 2011, I got a catalog from Island Port Press, which is a small New England publisher in Yarmouth, Maine. Wonderful group of people. And I saw in their catalog, A is for arches for Maine, and I went, So I sent off my text immediately, and they accepted it quite well. And
this is really perfect for their what they put out. I mean, this is really this is great because we can sell it. You're selling it at local bookshops here on Cape Cod. And I think so many people want to share their experiences of Cape Cod with their children, their grandchildren. I think this would be a great gift for someone who may visit here or have family here. What I loved was this really is geared towards a lot of different age levels of children. So you could read just the poems to a younger child and maybe talk about the pictures, but also you put in there a lot of really good information, more in depth than just your typical alphabet book.
Right. And my 6-year-old grandson was reading just the titles and looking at the pictures, and it's funny, I turned a turtle, there was one in my yard this morning. And so even, just really early readers can get into this. And of course, you're talking about children, but I say it goes from children from 2 to 92, right, Steve?
I'd go all the way to 100.
100? Okay, all right.
And how did Steve get involved? When did you get involved in the project, Steve?
That was about 2 years ago. I just got a call from Melissa Kim, who's the editor up there, children's book editor, I guess. And they had a shoot list, which is kind of the way most photo things work. They say literally A to Z. So I got that, and we refined. There were a couple things, like we were going to do a shark for S, but because they're pretty cool, but kind of hard to photograph. So we tweaked that a little bit. You guys did, and then we went with a different W, and then I just went out and started photographing. Sort of in the course of just most seasonal, like the cranberries and the frogs, and couple things I had to sort of, like zooplankton, as you can imagine,
yes,
would be the most intriguing visual element to try to. And I went out with Stormy Mayo on the Center for Coastal Studies boat, and we have pictures of zooplankton, but if you've ever seen it, it looks sort of like Jell-O you wouldn't want to eat. So then we kind of backstepped that a little bit and used a second whale, right whale, and kind of came into the Z that way. But yeah, it was pretty. I spent about pretty much a whole year photographing it, and then there's always, as a photographer, you always say, this is the perfect picture, and then an editor looks at it and goes, no, that's not the perfect picture. So, but there wasn't a lot of really disagreement on it. I mean, we were pretty much, and I was very excited that they went with my favorite frog in the bog there, because most times Cape Cod, it's lighthouses, beaches, and sunsets, and that's nice. But I think, especially for children, the frog has it reminds me of Kermit. That's actually so that's kind of. And then I had it all photographed, so it's about a year between the time you've sent it all out and then this box arrives finally, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. I mean, the book is stunning from every page. I just could not stop. The images are gorgeous. The poems are really cute. And then, like I said, the information. What do you hope that readers take away from the book?
For me, it's just, I think it's giving people a chance to see sort of behind the scene, sort of off Main Street. And I have to say, I read it and I thought I knew everything about everything just because I work for a newspaper. And there's a lot of stuff in there, and so many people I've talked to have picked up little, like my parents, I gave them a copy and they were like all jazzed about the estuary because they didn't, if they're in upstate New York. So I think, especially people that come here that don't really know the Cape, outside of, you go to the beach or you go to the mini golf place, there's natural history, but there's also just interesting history from Coast Guard to all kinds of different things. So I would say it's a good read for anybody, as you said.
Yeah, I did a lot of research when I was writing it. And you talk about estuary, I was insistent that go in because I have a real concern for the ecology on Cape Cod and around the world, but particularly on Cape Cod and how we take care of our beaches and our estuaries and our waterways and dunes too. So that was an important part of the book for me.
Have you felt a lot of support from local bookshops around Cape Cod in this effort?
I have very much so. They've been very eager. As soon as they see the book, they go, "Oh, we'll take it."
Yeah.
It sells itself. How about you, Steve? Have you?
Yeah, I know our launch was at Titcomb's, which is a real popular, they've maintained
fabulous
cool
bookshop.
Books. Yeah, and they were very gracious with the sort of our launch party, so to speak. And it's a good thing because that's people need to support the local bookstore now more than ever, I would say.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for joining us today. I really appreciate it, and I have to say the book is amazing. Loved reading through, and also the images were stunning.
They do. They make the book.
Yeah.
These photographs.
So thank you both so much. My guests this morning were Steve Heaslip, photographer, and Christina Laurie, author of C is for Cape Cod. For Barnstable This Morning, I'm Sarah Mannel.